Hi everybody, Ahmad Sadiq here from Land Trust Title of Central Florida. Let's talk title. Today, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about escrow holdbacks. And ultimately, escrow holdbacks are used in certain circumstances to save transactions. Ultimately, what an escrow holdback is an agreement between a buyer and a seller to hold certain funds back, certain amounts back from the seller's proceeds to get certain things done. So this can happen in a variety of different circumstances. As an example, we could have a circumstance where a seller is getting some work done that either needs to be done because of an agreement between the buyer and the seller, or because there's some damage to the property that the seller is taking care of before the buyer actually takes possession. But for one reason or another, the work isn't going to be completed by the time that the closing date happens, and the closing needs to happen by a certain date. In those circumstances, rather than letting the transaction fail because the work isn't done by the closing date, the buyer and the seller can come to an agreement, ultimately stating that the seller is going to hold the funds back, plus an extra cushion, usually somewhere between 10 and 15%, to hold in the escrow account here with us at the title company. And then when the work is done, the title company will release the funds to the contractor and the balance to the seller. And ultimately what that'll do is allow the buyer to close the transaction and be secure knowing that the funds are set aside for the work that needs to be done. In other instances, we could have a situation where for some reason the seller wasn't able to move all their stuff out of the property and the buyers still need to move in by a certain date. The buyers and the sellers can agree to having some funds set aside from the seller's proceeds, just ensuring that the seller is going to go in and take those other items out of the property, and the buyer can be secure in the fact knowing that they're going to be able to move into the property and not have to deal with any of the stuff that the seller might have left behind. So the ultimate purpose of the escrow holdback is to allow the buyer to take possession of the property and feel secure knowing that the seller has some skin in the game to get things done that need to be done, so that the buyer is not left holding the bag on some kind of a bill or some kind of contractor amount or invoice due that's going to come back and ultimately make it difficult for the buyer after the transaction closes. So if you guys have any questions about escrow holdbacks or you need help in getting one done, reach out to us here at Land Trust Title of Central Florida. We look forward to working with you guys. Thank you for your time.